WWF is, as one of the largest conservation groups in the world, has a presence in over 100 countries around the world. But in order to get a handle on limited resources, limited staff, we focus on 19. Among the materials over there is the annual report, and inside you'll see a nice 3-page spread of the 19 places where we work. One of them is in this corner of Russia, known as the Amur Highland, where that's one of our priority areas, and that Dr. Chestin will talk about today. And one of the reasons why we focus on 19 places concerns the threats facing those places, the opportunities, the resources that are at stake, and the opportunities that are presented in trying to be able to save those resources. And with Dr. Chestin's presentation, you'll get a sense of why this region is one of those 19. Dr. Chestin is the chief executive of WWF Russia, which is an independent organization similar to WWF US. We fall under an affiliation of WWF. We fall under an affiliation of WWFs around the world that's headquartered in Switzerland, and our WWF office in Russia is one of the largest, with a staff of about 100 and a budget of about $11 million annually. Dr. Chestin is a PhD from Moscow State University, specialist in brown bears. Got his PhD in 1991, and taught and researched at the university through the better part of the 90s, joined WWF in 1996, was witness on the ground to Russia's move towards democratization, which was a very exciting time. And Dr. Chestin, I think, has the unique honor of being one of our staff to be knighted by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands for his work on conservation, knighted as a member of the Order of the Golden Ark. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Chestin.
Thank you, Jason, for the introduction. And with that, I'm turning to my brief overview of our joint work with WWF US in one of the most exciting parts of the world. Despite I'm going to focus on our joint work in that area, focus on specific issues which we're addressing there, I would be also very much willing to answer any of your questions regarding general conservation problems in Russia, or the general work of NGOs in Russia, because we are pretty much networking with our fellows from all other types of NGOs you can imagine in the country. So we're pretty well united as a civil society in Russia, I would say. With that said, I would turn into showing what are our priorities. We have a headquarter office in Moscow, working mostly with political lobbying work and legislative work. And besides that, we have 5 major field presences, and as you would see on the map, they're all transboundary. Our work on the Barents Sea, we do together with WWF Norway. Our work in the Caucasus, we do together with our colleagues from Tbilisi, from Georgia. Our work in the Altai-Sayan region, we do together with our colleagues from WWF Mongolia, and the 2 other ecoregions, one the Bering Sea and the other the Amur Highland, are exactly where we work together with the WWF US. So these 2 places are 2 of the 19 priorities for WWF US, and that's where we cooperate. And today we focus specifically on the south of the Russian Far East, on the Amur Highland. Amur is the largest river in the Eastern Hemisphere, which has no dams in its mainstream, and Helm is just a Chinese name for the same river. That's why we use this double name for that whole ecoregion. Yeah. The most typical habitat in that area used to be broad sands of broad-leaved forests and mixed forests. These are probably the most diverse temperate mixed forests. However, much of that has gone due to commercial logging, both on the Russian side and the Chinese side. On the Russian side, we still have these large tracts of pristine area where such animals as the tigers live. I will say a few words about the Amur tigers because that I think is an outstanding conservation success. And it's not a conservation success just of WWF, it's a conservation success of all groups, which Russian groups and international groups which worked hard to make this success possible. At the beginning of the 19th century, there were about 1,000 tigers roaming in the area, and by the middle of last century, there were only about 150 left. That was the time when the conservation measures took place, the hunting ban was introduced, protected areas were set, so scientists started to monitor the population, and by the 1980s we had about 350 to 400 tigers roaming in the wild. At the same time, the beginning of the 90s, with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the huge economic and social problems in the area, caused new threats. And according to the estimates, about 50 tigers were killed annually, poached annually, to be sold in their parts to Chinese customers who were desperate for getting tiger parts as an essential component of their traditional medicine. That was the time when the real international cooperation started, and WWF was one of the first organizations to be in there, supporting anti-poaching brigades, running educational programs, setting new protected areas, and helping to increase the effectiveness of the existing ones. And as a result, already by 1996, the number of tigers was stabilized, and it was about 450 tigers, an estimate was about 450 tigers at that time. Conservation efforts continued, and the census done a couple of years ago showed that there are over 500 tigers in the area, and the most important thing is that they live in one connected population, and that's probably the largest remaining connected population of that size in the world. That is a great success story which we think should be taken as a lesson, and that lessons have to be taken into account when we're talking about conservation of tigers in other places like India, which still hosts most of the population, but in small patches. Another animal which is actually was scheduled for conservation, and especially for the public by the tiger, living in this area is the Amur leopard, the far eastern leopard. There are only about 40 animals left in the wild, and there is no chance this population is going to survive unless very radical conservation measures are being taken. Going further, this is the more detailed map of the area, showing where there are sightings of the leopards. These are the records where leopards were seen. This shows the system of protected areas on the Russian side. So as you see, much of the habitat is already under protection. However, what we are working on now very extensively is that there are 3 protected areas in this tract, and they belong to different agencies. So there is no coordinated management, so there is no coordinated recovery plan, and it's all still rather fragmented. So what we try to do now is to get all those 3 under one federal protected area management system, and we are more than ready to assist that new federal area to run very effectively. Looking at transboundary issue, and it's also clear that leopards will not survive on their own if they are left only in Russia. For the time being, they are nearly all in Russia, but the long-term survival can be ensured only through transboundary cooperation with China, and in future probably also with North Korea, as the democracy in that country develops a bit further than now.